The end of World War II saw the increased activities of unidentified flying objects, moving at a great speed over the sky. This sparked interest in some scientists and prompted data collection, analysis, and investigations which spanned into years by both the U.S. Air Force and scientists and journalists who religiously combined pieces of information and evidence as they happened. These sightings were recorded to be about 612 in number, from 1947, when the first UFO was sighted and reported by Kenneth Arnold, a civilian pilot and businessman. He reported seeing 9 objects, glowing bright blue, white, flying at the speed of 1,700 meters per hour towards Washington's Mount Rainier. On the basis of these planetary movements and supernatural activities, many launched private and public researchers to unravel the mystery behind the unidentified objects and actively investigate the Project Bluebeam that gave much concerns to the people. At least 2 communities were set up for this course to give explanations and demystify the flying objects. Most of their conclusions were hinged on man-made events, which prompted the activities and the atmosphere to which they propounded scientific explanations for some of a while large number of UFO appearances still could not be explained by these committees, which have left a number of people dissatisfied, if not perplexed. It was for this reason that Serge Monast began to speak up and got his voice heard. Who was Serge Monast? One of the loudest speakers to raise alarm on these UFO activities was a Canadian man from Quebec. Serge Monast, a writer and investigative journalist born in 1945, he was the founder of the International Free Press Agency, where he published most of his works on these themes. In 1994, after years of studying and researching, Serge came out with 4-step-based theories, in which he alleged that the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, with the help of the United Nations, was planning to use mind control mechanism to compel people to a new religion and a new world order. He is also credited to have written over 15 articles and books. Serge gained some measure of prominence when he began featuring on interviews with esoterist and ufologist Richard Glenn on his TV show Esoterism Experimental from 1995 to 1996. Serge Monast died in December 1996 in his home as a result of a heart attack, a day after being arrested and put in jail. His supporters believe he was assassinated by NASA with psychotronic weapons because he revealed so much of their activities. Nevertheless, several copies of his works still circulate on the internet, with a couple of persons buying into his findings. What exactly is Project Bluebeam? Project Bluebeam was a conspiracy theory carefully documented after years of research by Serge Monast. It was said to be a 4-step-based operation set up by government in order to gain control of the minds of the people and subsequently introduce them to a new world order and religion using sophisticated equipment, which would be projected into the sky and simultaneously aired after it has been fired into the sky, giving the pictorial representation of all the religions and having all their images merge as one in the sky, thus beguiling the people into believing that their God was speaking to them all in their own languages, thereby introducing the Antichrist by doing so. Step 1. The manufacture of sophisticated top-secret weapons to cause earthquakes around specific and strategic locations around the world, unearthing the various religious artifacts, giving false belief that doctrines were all misconstrued and not understood. This stage is said to have already been implemented in 2012. The Earth recorded 39 astonishing number of earthquakes with strong magnitudes, which rocked every nook and cranny of the world, bewildering scientists who had no clear-cut explanations to how they happened in the space of 2 days. Also, the purported discoveries made a tomb said to have had the skeletal remains of Jesus can only give this theory credibility. Step 2. Serge Monast said that there would be a conspiracy to make gigantic space shows using 3-dimensional optical holograms and laser projections to create effects, making the images of Jesus Christ, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna to appear in the 4 different parts of the universe and having the images merge as one entity, the Antichrist. then began to give explanations discrediting the doctrines and tenets of the different religious group with evidence. Now, there has been an increase in the activities of NASA and the projections of beams with massive sightings of holograms all over the world in the skies. Step 3. This stage, he said, would involve the use of waves, creating a telephonic program that would assess people's mind, beguiling them that their God was speaking to them. The U.S. is reputed to have started research on telepathy, which involves the transfer of information, communication from one person to the other through neural signals, without vocalizing what is being communicated. This experiment has already been carried out on the monkeys with noticeable results with their limbs being controlled via telepathy. So this claim may not be so far-fetched after all. Step 4. The final stage, as propounded by Serge Monast, would involve the use of various technology which would project in the minds of people that an invasion by aliens was already happening in other planets and that the rapture was about to take place. This would disrupt the normal peaceful coexistence on the Earth, leading to a world of chaos and mistrust. These devices would give the Antichrist a firm grip on the minds of the world's populace. Though this claim cannot be quickly substantiated, there have been mysterious occurrences of sightings and inscriptions on the sky, images shadowed on windows or on babies. Can NASA be seen as hiding secrets and actually making preparation to execute all of these claims on Project Bluebeam as stated by Serge Monast, or was this a mirage in Serge's mind and that of his fellow theorists? This mind-boggling question can only be answered in parts. We wait patiently for it to unfold. The insistent and constant dismissal of claims of UFOs, hologram sightings, and other suspicious activities going on in NASA by the government, their inability to reveal publicly in its entirety their investigations and findings, as well as their body language towards the disappearance of Serge Monast's 2 children and his eventual demise on December 5, 1996, under suspicious circumstances only point to the fact that they know a lot more than we do, and perhaps Serge knew as much as they did, which could give reasons for his sudden death. We can only keep our fingers crossed and watch things play out for themselves